morning, Commissioners, Chief Choi, Mr. Sibley, Madam Secretary, Mr. Inspector General Mark Smith, Mr. City Attorney Carlos De La Guerra, and members of the public. Today is Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. It is 9:30 a.m. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Please let the record reflect Commissioners Suthers, Shields, and Kalancha are present. And Commissioner Briggs is also present, and we have a quorum.
Thank you. We welcome everyone attending this morning. The Police Commission is committed to ensuring equal access to its meetings. It is requested that individuals who require the services of a translator contact the Board Secretary no later than the day preceding the meeting. Whenever possible, a translator will be provided. Sign language interpreters, assistive listening devices, or other auxiliary aids and/or services may be provided upon request. To ensure availability, you are advised to make your request at least 72 hours prior to the meeting you wish to attend. While public comment will be heard during item number 2 on the agenda, we will dedicate a total of 45 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item for a maximum of 2 minutes total. At the request of the speaker will be given 1 additional minute for general public comment for a maximum of 3 minutes total. The order of speakers will be a speaker in this room will go first, then we will take a speaker watching today's meeting on Zoom. We will alternate between speakers in the room and Zoom for a total of 45 minutes. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak to any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you are free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, directing your comments to other individuals who have spoken or attacking others who have expressed their opinions shall be deemed off topic and your public comment period will be concluded. Members of the public, if you choose to participate in public comment portion of the agenda, you can participate in this meeting in several ways outlined on the agenda. Message for those attending the meeting in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board, the department, and key stakeholders. Meetings of the Board of Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public the opportunity to be present at meetings, hear the presentations and dialogue in real time, and provide feedback via the public comment period. During these meetings, there is a need for the board to carry out public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct which causes an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person are reminded that disruptive behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt this meeting, you will be provided with only one warning to cease disruptive behavior. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. While in the boardroom, members of the audience must be seated. Standing is not permitted. At this time, we will move to item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief Choi.
Thank you. Good morning, Commission President Suthers, Vice President Shields, Commissioners, Inspector General, City Attorney, and welcome, Mr. Sibley. All right, so today, as I do each week, I'll discuss some significant events that from last week, provide a crime update, and then discuss our personnel strength. The first incident I'll discuss is a MSIT, or Major Collision Investigation Team call-out. So on April 6th this year, approximately 05:11 hours, West Valley Uniform Patrol officers observed a vehicle stopped at a mid-phase green light at an intersection at Sherman Way and Reseda Boulevard. As officers pulled up next to the vehicle, they saw that the occupant was asleep. The officers conducted a traffic stop on that vehicle, which was a Lamborghini with no license plates. The driver of that vehicle ultimately provided his identification, a temporary registration certificate for the vehicle, and then officers confirmed the registration by looking at the VIN number on the paperwork and the VIN number on the vehicle. During this investigation, they determined that this vehicle was actually stolen and the VIN numbers did not match. So as the officers attempted to ask the driver to exit the vehicle, the driver accelerated and fled from the officers. Officers notified Communications Division that they were in pursuit of this vehicle, but while attempting to catch up to the vehicle, they came across the aftermath of a crash, basically a debris field. This vehicle had collided with several trees and the center median of the street, and the driver was ejected from the vehicle and pronounced deceased at scene. No officers or other community members were injured as a result of this collision, and because officers initiated the pursuit, we had this collision by influence, and therefore our MSIT team responded to investigate. Also had another incident that is not our lead, but garnered significant media attention. So on March 31st, a burglary of approximately $30 million was taken from a business in the city of Sylmar, or the Sylmar area. The business was identified as Garda World. It's a security services company that offers cash vault services. Preliminary investigation revealed that the suspects accessed the location through the roof of the building, but it's unclear how they accessed the vault itself inside the building, and there were no obvious signs of entry into the vault. FBI is the lead for this investigation for the heist, and with the assistance of LAPD. Our detectives, LAPD detectives, collected video from the area, as well as interviewed potential witnesses and employees from the location to assist the FBI in their investigative efforts, and this case is ongoing. Again, because it is an ongoing investigation, we are not the lead. I don't want to comment any further on this. And on a positive note, I'd just like to call out an incident that happened earlier this week. On April 5th, a female entered Wilshire Station and reported a kidnapping. According to that person, on April 4th, the day before, she received a call from her boyfriend, the victim, saying that she's being pulled over by, quote, undercover officers. The boyfriend later called our person reporting back, or his girlfriend back, said he was not taken by police, but rather he was kidnapped, and the kidnappers were asking for an $800,000 ransom, or he would be killed. Due to the nature of the crime, our robbery homicide detectives, Special Investigation Section, better known as SIS detectives, assumed investigative responsibility. During the investigation, and this is obviously much longer investigation, but in summary, 2 suspects' vehicles were identified during the investigation. Over the following days, SIS detectives conducted extensive investigation, which led investigators to the area of Lancaster and Pear Blossom. As SIS detectives canvassed these areas, they located a residence where the victim was being held. The suspects attempted to flee. SIS stopped their vehicles and resulted in a rescue of the victim, who was treated at scene by medical personnel for extensive injuries caused by the suspects. The suspects were also detained and arrested. During the search for the residence, additional evidence was seized in relation to the kidnapping. All 3 suspects were booked for kidnap, for robbery. And this really highlights the great work that's happening by our folks on a daily basis that we don't get to hear about. So I just wanted to share that with this group. Moving on to crime, I will say optimistically, but cautiously optimistically, our crime overall is trending in the right direction. So citywide, for the week ending April 6th, 2024 compared to 2023, year-to-date violent crime is down 0.6%. Property crime is down 4.3%, and overall Part 1 crime is down 3.6%. And I'll dive into a couple of the categories that we're still struggling with. So in our homicides, homicides have been trending down since the week of March 16th, week ending March 16th. So in the past 4 weeks, year to date, our homicide increase has decreased from 30.8% to 9.5%. So overall, year to date, we're at 81 homicides versus the same time period in 2023, we had 74, so we're +7 this year. I'm happy to say, though, for this prior week, we had 0 homicides in the 7-week period versus 8 in the prior week, or in the week of same week of the prior year. Also with our victims shot have been trending down since the week ending March 2nd of 2024. In the past 6 weeks, year-to-date increases of victims shot has decreased from 14.7% to 1.3%. And where we're at here is year-to-date in 2024, we're at 311 victims shot versus 2023, we're at 307 victims shot, so +4 year-to-date, but we're hopeful that this trend of reducing victims shot will continue. Also, looking at our robbery analysis, in the past 3 weeks, our robberies have decreased from 12.4% to 8.2%, and robberies with firearms have been trending down since the week ending March 9th, 2024. So in the past 5 weeks, year-to-date, the year-to-date increase for robberies with firearms has also decreased from 12% to 2.9%. And regarding our property crime, our burglaries have been trending down since the week ending March 2nd, 2024. In the past 6 weeks, year-to-date increases for burglaries have decreases from 4.3% just to 0.7%. And again, I spoke about this in prior week's crime. Our commercial burglaries overall are down, and they account for about 44.2% of all of our burglaries. But our residential burglaries are still up 2.7%, and they account for about 55.8% of all our residential burglaries. We are seeing an increase in our residential burglaries in Operations West Bureau. That's where our efforts are focusing right now. Regarding our motor vehicle thefts have been trending down since week ending March 2nd, 2024. In the past 6 weeks, year-to-date increases for motor vehicle thefts have seen decreases from 9.6% to 5.9%. Operations Valley Bureau is where we're seeing our challenges with, our primary challenges with motor vehicle theft. They have the most vehicles stolen in the city up in the Valley Bureau. But the vehicles that are being stolen are consistently our Kias, that's number one, our Chevrolets, our Silverados, and Camaros being the second most stolen vehicle, and then our Hyundais. Regarding our Kias and Hyundais, we're still working with the vendors coming out to the stations and inviting community members with these vehicles in to have them, their software reprogrammed or updated, so those cloned key fobs cannot access their security systems. I'm happy to say we had no OISs or categorical use of force investigations for this past week. And then our personnel strength, as of April 8th, our sworn personnel strength is at 8,888. Our civilian personnel staffing levels remain at 2643, and our reserve officer staffing remains at 443. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Chief. And compliments to the investigators working on the kidnapping incident. That was really swift and obviously a testament to their expertise and experience, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And I'll defer to my colleagues for comments or questions on the Chief's report. Vice President Shields.
Thank you, President Southers, and thank you, Chief, for the report, and also thank you to the SIS detectives for their great work with the kidnapping investigation. I just had a couple of questions, and one relates to something that had been discussed during public comment last week, and then also getting some news mention is about, an individual who was part of the police department who was arrested for DUI, and I understand that is an ongoing investigation, so without commenting on that investigation directly, can you talk a little bit about what the department does when an officer, and again, we have almost 9,000 officers, and if one of them is arrested for DUI, what happens with the department in terms of do they stay on duty, and also is there an investigation that the department also conducts in addition to the criminal investigation?
Sure, absolutely. So starting off, if an officer gets arrested, whether it's for DUI or any crime, they have an obligation to identify themselves and their status with the department. And then they have, without delay, they need to notify their supervisor. That'll trigger a notification up the chain of command to the commanding officer, as well as to the Inspector General's office. And then the on-call, depending on whether it's on hours or off hours, if it's off hours, the on-call internal affairs team will be notified. And if this incident occurs within the city, meaning it's our crime, and then we have an administrator, we will respond out there and take over the criminal and the administrative investigation. So immediately a complaint is generated with a administrative investigation on top of the criminal investigation that's pending. If it happens outside the city and it's an outside entity, our on-call lieutenant from Internal Affairs will reach out to see what they're willing to share with us. We may or may not send a team depending on the circumstances and the time period in which it's been reported to us. In either case, Internal Affairs will, at the next possible moment or available moment, go out there and collect the reports, interview the arresting officers, and get as much information as they can for the administrative investigation. The criminal investigation we won't be touching if it's an outside agency. And then, so that officer gets released. Typically, their commanding officer will accept them, or a family member will come get them, take them home. Based on the circumstances of that incident, the commanding officer will make a determination of whether that employee comes back to work and it has no public contact and is at the station doing administrative functions, or whether the incident had some egregiousness or some part of it that we believe it wouldn't be the best interest of the department or the public for that officer to come back to work, so that person is assigned home pending the investigation. A lot of things we won't know right up front, so in abundance of the caution, a lot of the times, I won't say most, a lot of the times that employee is assigned to home immediately.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, Dave.
And that really, and then the criminal and administrative investigation takes its place, and then ultimately comes to the chief for penalty recommendation.
Thank you, Chief. And I've seen department notices kind of going out to individuals about drinking responsibly and other kinds of reminders. Is there anything else that the department is doing to try to curb, DUIs within their ranks?
So absolutely, this is an ongoing year-long effort for messaging on, responsible drinking, alcohol use. We also have the Alcohol and Substance Abuse Prevention Unit out of our Behavioral Sciences Services section. Dr. Dorian has discussed with all of our direct reports, senior staff, general staff, his efforts and the availability of those resources. His personnel within that section goes out to roll calls and shares their stories. This is a supervisor with lived experience, if you will, in this area, and shares his experiences and how reaching out for help and services has saved his life. In fact, he did that presentation to us at general staff yesterday, all the command officers. There is a LAPD alcohol safety tactics model of harm reduction that can be found on the BSS website that officers can access and look for resources there. And also, Dr. Dorian has done a great job in expanding the peer support team to include peer health improvement teams who address alcohol and other health-related behaviors at each of the geographic areas. So we're firing on all cylinders to get the message out. There's also other services, if you will, that are available. If you know you're going to be drinking and you don't want to drive, there's services that PPL officers to get people home safely. There's services at the COA, Command Officers Association officers, for its members to get people home safely. So there's no reason for anyone to be out there drinking and driving. I believe we're doing everything we can to message that our services are available, that resources are available. It's okay to talk about it. It's natural if you're having problems not to want to talk about it, but talking about it is helpful. So we've done a lot of that messaging, and I will say since these efforts have started, primarily through BSS in 2023, we've seen a 32% reduction from 22 to 23 in alcohol-related incidents for our employees.
Thank you, Chief, for that, and thank you to the BSS team and Dr. Dorian for all that they are doing to help kind of send that messaging. And I hope that all officers, sworn civilian, can take advantage of those resources and really watch out for each other so that they don't find themselves in this very difficult situation. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Briggs? Commissioner Kalanche?
No questions. I just want to comment. I'm glad to be back in the country, but glad to see that crime is down. So, good job, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia?
Good morning. Thank you, Chief. I'm curious about the kidnapping ransom. What are we doing to sort of educate the community and try to get in front of those type of issues, and when they happen, to ensure that folks know what to do, who to reach out to, when to reach out to law enforcement for support? And I ask that because, in other countries that is a big issue, and just trying to see what we can do to ensure that it doesn't become a trend here.
Well, I'll just comment that this case is much more complex than I provided here. It's an ongoing investigation. This particular type of event, I can assure you, will not become commonplace here. But as far as general crime, we don't have specific messaging on kidnap for ransom. We do have, obviously, messaging on 911, and then for non-emergency calls, other numbers, like, I think I don't know the number, but it's the non-emergency call. 311, 211, other numbers you can call for assistance and services within the city. But specifically to kidnap robberies, we have not done specific educational messaging on that. I would hope to think that, and we can always do better in messaging, but I would hope to think that if this happens, just like in this particular case, somebody would immediately call 911. I know the message from the kidnappers are typically, don't call the police or something's bad's gonna happen. This particular case, the reporting party discounted that and called 911, thankfully. So,
Thank you, Chief. We'll now move on to agenda item number 2, public comment. Madam Secretary, please announce the first speaker.
The first speaker is Andrew Gravener.
Start off with the chief's report. That should be limited to 3 minutes. If the chief's report exceeds 3 minutes, we should be able to match whatever amount of time the chief takes. Regardless of how long the chief takes, everyone should be able to speak both in person and on the phone. Let's see, we have the consent agenda. We've got donations, of course, because, it's a backdoor way of getting more money. Not even having to go through go through city council or anything. You've got donations for a celebration of Ruby Flores, or something. That's $2,500. We have, let's see, more donations for a $5,000 painting. Random painting they apparently are getting for some reason. Just some random person. We have at the Van Nuys station, we have a donation for $395 for a water filtration system. That's $395. We've got donation for $600 for the teenage indoctrination program. We have $12,500 for you to go get another horse to abuse and then not pick up the horse poop from that goes on the street. We got donation for $50 for the wellness day, the West Valley area. Donation for $200 for the. What is this? Why are these separated into like multiple donations spread across like several people? Is that to make it seem less than it actually is? Like, why are there 4 separate small donations for the same event on the agenda? It seems like that should be one big donation that everyone can see. Why is it being done this way? It's clearly the same. It's just it's just a coincidence that there's 4 random civilians who are donating a small amount to the same event. We've got $100,000 for a remodel of the training center. Definitely, training doesn't solve anything. This department's just beyond any kind of fixing at this point, really. Yeah.
Next, we have Betty Lane.
Good morning.
Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
Peace report, agenda items, public comment, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Well, first off, I appreciate Chief Choi's report. I do support all the agenda items on donations. People need to understand why and where it goes. And on public comment, I hope everyone that attends the community police commissioners meeting on the 16th is respectful and I hope everyone stays healthy and safe. I appreciate and support LAPD, and with that, I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
The next speaker is the Red Chief.
Thank you, the Red Chief Hunt. I left, I left off with proactive policing. What are we doing about that? Proactive policing and the narcocans for overdose. How many overdoses do we have today from the year? From the valley and the what's the name? Last year we had 350 overdoses in the valley. Has that been taken care of? Which I don't know whether they're homicides or overdoses or chemical warfare. The next thing I need to know is all the reports that I filed. I have no investigators on them. Why is that? You know, and I filed about like 10 burglary reports from my house, and I have nobody attending to those reports. What's going on with LAPD? Quote unquote. Still taking an hour and 15 minutes to come to my house on any response call, low level, just policing and stuff like that. I want to know, Chief Troy, you're chief of police now, right? Or are you acting chief? No comment. Well, if you have no comment, you shouldn't be sitting in that seat because you work for the public, and the public is these people right here. Yeah, I mean, you have to identify yourself as chief of police or not. You know, Sellers, um, please get that stuff out to the 77th Division because people are dying over there. The chemical drugs is killing them, and they need Narcan over there. Troy, I'm holding you responsible. And then my last but least thing is, I called here, but the telephone system don't work. What's going on? I called all the departments, and everybody say, well, why our telephone system's down? How can a public system be down if we count on you guys to serve and protect? Does that make any sense to you? Don't make any sense to me. Anyways, with that, we have a lot more improvement we got to do, and we got to answer to the people, man. And that's what you guys do. You guys work for the public. You guys don't work for anybody else. So get these people together and get everything that you're doing and saying together. The chief of police report is still slighted because you say the homicides. I don't know whether they're homicides or ODs or if the police is coming in there with chemical warfare. And I'm studying that right now. It's way too much fentanyl on the streets and too many fentanyl deaths. And I can't say the structure, but if we're supposed to be cleaning up fentanyl and stop killing people, that's part of LA Police job. Red Chief Hunt, I'm out.
Next, we have caller ending 1264.
Hello,
Hi, what items would you like to speak on?
all of them. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, 3 minutes.
Yeah, Chief Joy. You were talking about DUIs in my area, Foothill Division. We've got multiple DUIs all the time. And the street vendors on the sidewalk don't help because they're there all night. They're drinking in the parking lot. They're smoking grass. And I don't know if you know that in the area of Mercer Street and Remick, there's a cartel problem. I see it every day, but I don't see my senior lead officer. That's somebody I don't see. I see a lot of trouble going on our streets. I don't see my community policing. We It's been going on for a long time. It's not the behavior I expect of the LAPD. That's why I'm just at a loss. I mean, you feel like this is something that the LAPD should be working on, that should be helping the community. For those of us who do obey the laws and ordinances, but I don't see that. I see the police working with the criminals and giving the criminals the exception and not applying any rules to them. We need help in the community, and it's a day by day process. And if we're not getting that, then I don't know how you're going to solve a lot of these problems that you're having. Kidnapping, I mean, that comes from Mexico, and we're starting to see it here. I mean, this is really starting to progress in the wrong direction, and we need to start moving that in the right direction. I have more to say, but I'm just so overwhelmed in my community. It's not even funny. Thank you for letting me speak. I hope you have a good day. I hope we can go out there and make a difference. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jonathan Foster.
Hello, good morning, Chief. Now, to Errol, I have to apologize for using the F word combined to your mother, but I stand by every other word, so I apologize. And I'm going to say what I was going to say last week, and I didn't, but it turns out this was already written, and it's kind of almost what you said. And there was a list, but everything else in this category of OIS is fair. This also means the amount of murders or even possibly preventable in-policy shootings that have happened is lower than it seems. Has been decreasing. Things are slow to improvement, but enormous effort is being exerted, is being attempted, is being influenced, is being tried, is very slowly getting better. The list of murders is long, though. It's got a lot of people on it. But it's just not entirely the LAPD's fault, is it? No, it's not law enforcement, not completely. There are things that could have been done 20 years ago, 40 years ago that hasn't, and that's a crime. That's a crime. Hasn't changed. That's a crime. Slow change is happening. But to the destroyed families, slow change amounts to nothing but a dead family member. That's a slow change. They're still dead. And they got immediate change. And the change you're doing is slower than 10 Christmases. So let's look at where I've tried to think, or I divide the line, is armed robbery and gun activity, like Kevin Carr, Michael Meadows, or today Stevenson, right? But what I'm talking about is that Eric Rivera was not an armed robbery. Takar Smith was not an armed robbery. Keenan Anderson was not an armed robbery. Grisario Mack was not an armed robbery. Valentina Peralta was obviously not an armed robbery. And this is where the problem is. This is where people that really should not have been shot dead, they've been boom, 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 boom. They even shot this one guy that nobody talks about except for me, Raymond Hernandez, who was shot by 3 different officers 4 times each. So he got shot 12, 13 times in 3 different directions. I mean, this is, and I'm wondering, and I have said this, and then I have to finally eat my words. I was saying, when is it going to change? And the change, to be honest with you, I feel like I'm seeing it. But it's super slow. What do you say to that? It's just not fast enough. 8 seconds, not enough. Audit the archives, U.S. corrupt cops, Law and Crime Network. I've been looking at some stuff, and I'm going to start using their language too.
Next, we have Philip Tabby.
Good morning. All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
I want to start off with a quote from John F. Kennedy, one of my favorite ones. One person can make a difference, and everyone should try. Chief Choi, the honeymoon is over, sir. We, the people, did not hire a seat warmer. You oversee a police department that has real people with real problems from both the community side and the sworn side. Our last chief made very poor decisions and made a mess for the next person who happens to be you. And just because you're the interim chief does not give you a free pass to do nothing about these problems. What really baffles me is the bad decisions are continuing under your watch. I was watching a podcast and found out that you promoted John Shaw, the same captain that led the illegal investigation on Mayor Bass. That's sure interesting. I'm still waiting to see what you will do and when will you be promoting Captain Smith back to a Captain 3? Don't you agree that he was punished as a result of a personal dispute between the former chief and him? Smith was a whistleblower on the body worn situation before coming to Foothill. Moore had Smith moved in the dead of night because of a past allegation saying the word smashed. What really gets me is his replacement, Marco Lozano, has done way worse. And instead of punishing Lozano, you give him an Excellence in Leadership Award. Are you kidding me? The same guy who was reported touching a female LAPD volunteer inappropriately. You guys are all about women until it's one of your own, right? The same Marco Lozano who called a citizen a fucking idiot in front of other citizens. The same Lozano who talked about a personnel file in front of many community members. The same Lozano who lied about the blue flag with Hamilton. And then I find out Lozano only received an admonishment for his actions, a paper penalty. Wow. Chief Choi, are you more 2.0? You have the power to correct this. Excellence in Leadership Award, Lozano, that's a joke. The same Lozano who fired me after 30 years of volunteering and co-chair, all because I spoke truth to power. I'm a community leader, and as Lozano is not in tune with our community. What the hell is going on there? Dr. Suthers, your former FBI, look into all of this, please. Our officers deserve better. God bless the LAPD. Yield the rest of my time.
The next speaker, Hamid Khan.
So I just wanted to direct this to Rasha and Suthers and other folks on the bench as well, because that's what it is. So Peregrine, Palantir, Gospel, Lavender, and many of such names, these are the names of technologies that are being deployed for policing and waging war. I want to point to the Real-Time Crime Center and now this use of technology called Peregrine and Fusus. Now, when you look at Peregrine, Peregrine is a cheaper version of Palantir. And people remember Palantir, which has been globally rejected and discredited as a completely, the inherent violence in Palantir has been laid out, fact by fact, that how it has directed and created mass displacement, and especially how it has impacted the immigrant community all around the United States. Now, why this is necessary is, and as lives are being destroyed as a use of this data-driven policing, through these technologies, we also see the same AI-driven mass slaughter by the Zionists of Palestinians with these technologies called Gospel and Lavender. So here we are seeing this techno-solutionism, which we had fought hard against and ended up dismantling predictive policing. This is before y'all's time. And here we are going full circle again with this Real-Time Crime Center and bringing in these technologies. And today at the LA City Council Public Safety Committee, they're going to be approving thousands of cameras which are going to be fused in from private camera people, from private businesses and individuals. And here we go with the mass deputization of the community as well. We saw what happened as a result of iWatch, which is an analog, see something, say something. Your own Inspector General audited, and what we saw was a majorly disparate impact on the Black community. This counterterrorism technology and this program for intelligence gathering had 1 year over 31% individuals in this national security program were identified as Black. And where gender was identified, 50% were Black women. So here you are again using this technology and expanding these technologies, and I want to point back to a U.S. Senate report on fusion centers from 2012, which was commissioned by Carl Levin, and I can't remember the other senator's name at the time. And that was like 12 years ago, where they found that all the information intelligence gathering at Fusion Center was duplicative, useless, potential violation of First Amendment right, and irrelevant. Now, this is your massive fusion centers, which is the warehousing of all the data collection. And you're using your CSOCs, you're using your various other ways in Los Angeles. And again, we're going to see this full circle and see the mass impact as a result of this deputization and the real-time crime center.
Thank you.
Next, we have Norma.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All
What items
items,
do you like to
please.
speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Norma and I'm from the Valley, and I'm here to show my support for the LAPD. I support the items on donations and appreciate the events put together with these funds. I believe the funds should be used as intended by the donors. And when one does volunteer work, one truly learns how much donations are needed, so they are truly appreciated. I want to applaud the Board of Police Commissioners for approving the report from the Los Angeles Police Department in response to the city controller's audit on the Air Support Division. Thank you for standing out for the department. While the LAPD is not perfect and corrections need to be made, defunding the Air Support Division affects our low-income communities who continue to suffer from different crime. Theft is major in our communities, and it's sad to see how our community members are losing their essential tools to do their job and provide for their families. I am glad the report shows the willingness from the department to come to correct mistakes and to work together with the controllers to get the accurate data for this report. I want to share how important the Senior Lead Officers Program is for our community. They truly are the liaison between our community, businesses, and solving the issues and crime in our community. They are certainly missed when they go on vacation because the program is not available as there is no officers to cover for them. Please advocate for to bring funds to buy new cars for our officers. It's just embarrassing when officers have to ask people to give them a jump, I think that's how you say it, because their engines die, their batteries are dead. We need more police. We appreciate our officers and we thank them for their hard work. Thank you, and I yield the rest of my time.
The next speaker, Matios Kadian.
Good morning, my name is Matius Kirana with the Stop LAPD Spying Coalition. I've been thinking today about the ongoing genocide in Palestine and the extreme levels of violence we've seen there, and how that violence, as extreme as it is and as egregious as it is, has actually translated and been exported out in a number of different ways to affect Muslims, Arabs here in the United States. And a lot of that is done through the dehumanization of Arab people, the dehumanization of Muslim people. I'm thinking immediately about, Christopher Wray at the wake of these kind of attacks, warning and fear-mongering based on no justifiable evidence about copycat attacks, right? And this fear-mongering manifested itself in the death of 6-year-old Wadia Al-Fayoum, who was stabbed by his landlord in Chicago, in the death of Talat Jahan Khan, who was a pediatrician in Texas who was also murdered, right? And just thinking about how this violence was really brought about by a dehumanization that's really inextricable from the Zionist state, right? This is exactly the type of anti-Arab, anti-Muslim sentiment that they use to justify to, do the violence they're doing in Palestine. And I've been thinking about and really wanted to uplift LAPD's kind of role in bolstering that, specifically Errol Southers' role in bolstering that violence, in bolstering and solidifying and affirming that bloodshed, that death. Errol Southers' role in academia has been to provide research that reinforce these programs that then export this type of behavioral surveillance that's rooted in this anti-Muslim, anti-Arab sentiment here at home. And that's also been done by officers who participate in the exchange program, right? The deadly exchange program called LEAP, Law Enforcement Exchange Program, facilitated through JINSA. And the LAPD since October 7th has been, attempting to play this both sides kind of narrative, addressing, concerns around anti-Arab or anti-Muslim violence, but also addressing concerns, while also continuing to pursue their Zionist mission. and I just want to really quickly kind of quote Steve Pomerantz, who is the executive director of GINSA, who facilitates these trainings for the LAPD, in which he says, "If I was looking at gathering intelligence on the threat of terrorism, would I be looking at that community more than others? You bet." He's referring to the Muslim community specifically, right? And so this is, an official that coordinated trainings that the LAPD participated in. The LAPD saw these trainings and said, this is a good thing to do. I also want to quote former Deputy Chief Horace Frank, where he says, regarding the Deadly Exchange Program, this whole idea of best practices is just a euphemism for we're here to steal some of your great ideas. In this day and age of globalization, our needs are truly similar. In fact, we are much more alike than disalike as civilized nations. We're all confronted with many cases the same enemy. And he's talking about the Zionist state in that instance.
Thank you.
Next, we have Steve Riley.
Good morning.
Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Thank you. Just a little bit of old business from last week. I brought up the Women's History Celebration Month, which I believe should be celebrated, Women's History. And at the end of my comment last week, I don't know if you heard it, but there were some people who were left out. When you clicked on the link, it went to basically a stock photo, a frame of women, many of whom I don't think most people could identify. You might want to include the names. I don't know if you're just taking stock photos and putting them up there, or if that was generated from within the LAPD or Los Angeles City. And so there were 15 women there. The women who were left out conspicuously, LAPD officers Tina Cabrat, the first officer killed in line of duty, and Christy Hamilton after that. They should have been included. Also, women who should have been included were Mother Teresa, Mother Cabrini. There's a movie out there if you want to take a look at the movie, The First American Catholic Saint, and Florence Nightingale. But the problem is when you include certain people and you exclude others, and this seems to be a pattern within the LAPD. I talked about when Chief Choi presided over the first graduation, there were no recruits, new officers of European heritage. There were 50 countries on the continent of Europe. I have never seen an acknowledgement of people of that heritage. I have seen all other heritages and identities celebrated, but not those. That needs to be corrected. But really, LAPD should be not dealing in identity politics, but in public safety. Officers should come in one color, blue. I've said that repeatedly. And it really should be that you're not celebrating DIE, but celebrating serving the public. Okay, some of this identity politics smacks of narcissism. You're not there to celebrate yourselves. You're there to perform a job, to protect and serve. Now, next week, there's going to be a meeting at Bishop Alamani High School in the Valley. It hasn't been mentioned yet. I hope it is mentioned. Where is the poster on the lapdonline.org website? That should be there. This meeting should be widely publicized, and it should be covered by the media. I hope the media is listening. Is this meeting going to be broadcast live? It should be. And are there going to be restrictions on public comment? I wish you the best in that meeting. It's important that you get out there and actually meet with the community. And with regard to recruitment and demographics, how many from each category, however you categorize them, Black, white, Hispanic, other, female, male, look at how many people are applying and how many people make it through all the way through. I think that we're getting more applicants because Chief Bendidney Moore is gone. There is hope for Chief Choi. Let's get some answers.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Audit LA.
Hi, I'm here to talk about Scientology and LAPD and their very cozy relationship. Although the LA Times, like the past week or two, came out with an article talking about Scientology and their fair gaming tactics used against the district attorney's personnel and against detectives as well. And it's a pretty big article, and I hope you have all read it. And if not, please do. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are Scientology protesting going on, mostly in Hollywood, but some in North Hollywood, um, dealing with Scientology. And I just have to say that the Hollywood division, they need to be they need to be investigated because they are obviously extremely tied to Scientology. It's like they do their bidding. I've seen them arrest people who were victims of assaults because the people doing the assaults are somehow related to either Scientology or Scientology friendly places like La Poubelle, which, if you don't realize, La Poubelle is the restaurant where Danny Masterson roofied one of his victims. So there are protesting going on there as well. And, a lot of it, I don't know where this cozy relationship came from. I think part of it is that Scientology really ingrains itself in the local community to show that they're so great, but then they don't talk about or let you see the other side of it, where if you listen to the survivors who have actually left Scientology, the children who grew up in it, and the hell that they went through, the abuse they went through, there's also elder abuse going on, but none of that's looked at because they just get in cozy, like, working with the police. They're also tax exempt, okay, and they give huge donations to LAPD, the youth programs. You don't think that that buys favor? I mean, if I handed you a check for $27,000 and then called you saying, "Hey, I'm having a problem with this person. You're not going to answer my phone call." Of course you are. So I totally agree with the thing about the statement said about donations. You get half of our city budget. Why, are you accepting donations from a tax exempt religious organization? And so I'm asking you guys to do better, to look into the protests. We have endless amounts of film footage of police officers not acting correctly, numerous complaints against your officers. Hollywood division needs to be looked at, and your relationship with Scientology needs to be not only looked at but revoked. And I am asking you, Chief Choi, to please look into the cozy relationship with Scientology and end it. Because you know what? A lot of Scientologists are on your CPABs, and that's
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Michael.
Okay, good morning. All items.
Okay, there you go.
First want to bring up the January 20th event that happened in Hollywood regarding a Scientologist. His name was Aaron Levin. He was falsely arrested, and they claimed wasn't arrested, but they handcuffed him and took him to the station at the West Valley Division. That was led by Officer Tim Tallman. I don't know if anything's been done about it. Probably not, knowing what's happened here in LAPD. He was assaulted by a man on the street, and then they arrested both men. Even though the video clearly shows Aaron Levin was the one who was assaulted, and the man that did the assault, he gets away with it. No crime. I think he got a misdemeanor out of it. It was the most he got. And it should have been a felony assault because he used a skateboard, and it was pretty nasty, and just got away with it. So it's a cozy relationship between LAPD and Scientology that I've heard about before, and we all hear about. So that needs to be taken care of. Another issue, January 20th, 2020, a statue was torn down in Los Angeles, a Junipero statue. Myself being a Catholic, I find that to be quite offensive. That's nothing's been done about it, especially when during the 2020 BLM Summer of Terrorism, you can easily find out who did it. It doesn't take a genius to search the internet to find out who did it. A high school kid with no experience doing anything could find it. Why can't somebody with a background in the LAPD who has an education, a college education, why can't you guys find it? I guess it's just something you guys aren't trained in. Hopefully that happens in the future. You get trained in this kind of stuff. There's a thing called the internet, and we all use it. So good luck with that. I yield my time.
Okay, next we have YRB.
There we are. My button. I too would like to express concern about the relationship and the appearance of corruption between Scientology and the Wilcox and North Hollywood divisions of the LAPD. I hope that this board will take it in their uh, uh, awareness to the point that they are now not able to say we didn't know when there comes a time when a grand jury or other investigative unit takes authority over the situation. I also would like to talk to about the other agenda items on the. I want to congratulate Ruby Flores, Deputy Chief. Go girl. However, I am opposed to spending money in any way whatsoever that will promote the use of alcohol by police officers. And every one of the designed parties of that activity includes the consumption of alcohol. In addition, the form for the fund said on the first page, was this a budgeted item? And it says no. And then after that, it says if no, explain why. And that is explanation is missing. So the form for the application is incomplete. And my last comment is regarding the horse. A quarter horse is a show horse and a fast runner. It is not suitable for use by the police department as a general use, safety and patrol, or search and rescue horse. This will commit the LAPD and the citizens to at least a 10-year obligation of care, which will end up costing at least $100,000 for the maintenance of a gift. You're looking at a gift horse in the mouth, and you really ought to say thanks, but no thanks. I yield my time.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Mona M.
Good morning to you. Thank you for taking my comments. We are requesting public comment be sent up the chain for further action, not to CID, but to the OIG. We are asking for a 1-hour meeting at least, where we can present evidence and facts to the OIG for documentation of illegal activity. Evidence California citizens are being victimized, trafficked, abused, and how it appears, quote unquote, that LAPD is in at least complicit in crimes. Here's an example. Saturday, April 6th at approximately 10:30 p.m., a help sign was observed in the window of the Scientology Blue buildings on L. Ron Hubbard Way. Several 911 calls were made, and it took the officers over 45 minutes to respond, which is really funny because they were in the area for frivolous complaints against some protesters that were there just having a barbecue. When the officers responded, they only went to the security and asked if anyone needed help. Of course, the security officer said no. Ask me why. This behavior, evidenced clearly by the police officers not adequately investigating a clear cry for help, is scary and has further implications. I pray the person pleading secretly for help with that sign was not punished. Please ask me why. We can show a clear pattern of human trafficking, and child sexual abuse that is reported to the Scientology auditors. Excuse me, I'm really nervous. But in their culture, sexual abuse is not reported to authorities. They have a strict policy in Scientology, ask me how I know, that you are not allowed to report other Scientologies to the police. Thank you for your time today, and I would accept any questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. President, that was our final speaker.
Thank you. That will end the public comment period. As was previously mentioned, the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners Valley Bureau Community Commission meeting will be Tuesday, April 16th at 6 p.m. at Bishop Alamani High School, There are flyers at the rear of the boardroom. We will now move on to agenda item number 3, consent agenda items. Are there any questions or comments? We'd like to pull items A through D. Vice President Shields? No. Commissioner Garcia?
Can I pull item B, please?
Item B? Okay. Commissioner Briggs? So I would move that we adopt the recommendation for board action on items 3A, C, and D. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will return to item 3B. Commissioner Kalanche.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment on the donation for the purchase of the horse for Metropolitan Division. I had the opportunity to visit the mounted unit last month and saw how much work and effort it takes our police officers to groom, take care of the animals, take care of the gear, and how much of a contribution that the unit makes, not just for policing, but a lot of it is community building, community relations, and this 12,500 donation is just, a drop in the bucket, no pun intended, when it comes to, how much it takes to maintain, each horse, right? And how much effort is put into making sure that these horses have, the best accommodations possible. So I just wanted to reiterate the importance of this unit and how important this donation. Actually got to meet this horse, Judge. Yeah, so I just wanted to emphasize the importance of this donation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments? With that, I would move that we adopt the recommendation for board action for item 3C. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The commission will now recess into,
Mr. President,
oops, I'm sorry.
President others. Could I make, I apologize for the interruption. I was wondering if you could make one quick comment. There was one caller from public comment today who referenced contacting the Office of the Inspector General. In case that person is still listening, I just want to put on the record how to get in touch with us if they should wish to. All of our contact information can be accessed online at our website. That's oig.lacity.org. And since the caller who requested access was contacted by telephone, we can always be reached by phone at 213-893-6400. I just want to get that on the record. Thank you. I apologize for the interruption.
Thank you, Mr. Inspector General, and I need to correct the motion. The motion will be for agenda item 3B. Is there a second? Second. Moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
The commission will now recess into closed session.
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item number 4A1 in accordance to Government Code 54957.
The commission has concluded closed session. We'll now have a report out by Executive Director Sibley.
Regarding item 4A1, at the regular meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners on April 9th, 2024, during the closed session, the board adopted the Chief of Police's recommendations on a 5-0 vote as follows. For tactics, tactical debrief, 2 police officers, 2. For drawing and exhibition of a firearm, in policy, no further action, 2 police officers, 2. And lethal use of force, in policy, no further action, 1 police officer, 2.
Thank you, sir. With that, I would move that we adjourn today's meeting. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.